Well, great. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for coming out here this evening to listen and hear about this great news. This is great news for Monroeville, that the Monroeville Convention Center is saved. We've been working on this for several weeks now. A lot of stakeholders are involved and were involved and still are involved. And we've stressed how important the Monroeville Convention Center is to Oxford and to Hobby Lobby, and they both heard our concerns, and they both agreed to terminate their lease. And now we're working on a long-term arrangement for the Monroeville Convention Center. But the main message tonight and today is that the Monroeville Convention Center is open for business. We're still open. Any vendors that want to do a show, we're happy to have you. But just today, after this news, we reached out to 40 of our shows that were canceled. 38 have already re-signed just today, 38 out of 40, and we're still working on the other ones. But anyone else that wants to put on a show, we are open for business, and we'll be happy to find some time for you. And but this is a great day for Monroeville. A lot of stakeholders involved, from the local elected officials, county elected officials, state elected officials, and a tremendous amount of stakeholders that were involved, and a lot of hard work, but very good things here for Monroeville. And it's really about celebrating, and this is a great day. So I will open it up for any questions at this time.
Mayor, who's going to operate the center? Is it still going to be Oxford, some management?
Actually, at this time, we don't have those exact details. We're still working through all of that. The negotiating of the details of how it's going to be long-term are still in the works. Part of the issue is that we really wanted to get this news out here. Oxford and Hobby Lobby agreed to terminating the lease. Oxford wanted to move forward with continuing the shows, but that needed more time to figure out long-term how this is going to look. And we still have a lot of hard work to do, but the main thing was we wanted to make sure that the news got out so we could save the shows that were they already thought that they were losing the shows, and they were actually going elsewhere. We didn't lose any more shows. And a lot of those vendors, a lot of the showrunners were really stuck and really scrambling to find places. So we wanted to assure them that there's a place for them, and we're going to work out the details long term.
Mr. Mayor, you were in those. Has the nature of the transaction been decided how it's going to happen?
No, still there's a lot of different options that we're looking through and working through as far as numbers and how it'll look, but we're definitely trying to come up with a long-term solution where everybody's happy, and it's in the Monroeville Convention Center. Will stay in Monroeville for many, many years, because it is such an important asset to our community. 400,000 people a year that come just for the conventions, 20,000 hotel rooms that are filled because of the conventions, the millions of dollars of economic activity. It is the trickle and the ripple effect of the convention center. It's staggering. So that was the main thing, and that was the main focus of myself and the other elected officials. That was the focus on the convention center. We really need to save this for the community, for actually the entire region. And Hobby Lobby and Oxford understood that, and they were willing to work with us.
Mr.
Mayor, Mr. Mayor, this is a national chain, Hobby Lobby. What changed their minds and Oxford development?
Well, I think both of them we stressed how important the convention center is to Monroeville and to the region, and I think they listened to our concerns, and then they met and they mutually agreed to terminate their lease, and they realized this was best for the community. So it says a lot about both companies. It says a lot about Hobby Lobby and a lot about Oxford. And once again, this was never, ever about Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby, they're very much welcome in Monroeville. We want them to be in Monroeville. It had nothing to do with Hobby Lobby whatsoever. It was all about the convention center, and we didn't want to lose the convention center. But we're still very committed to trying to find Hobby Lobby a new location. We've reached out to them. We haven't heard back because it's been a pretty hectic week for everybody and for them, but we are very much willing to help them from a municipal standpoint. We have business owners and property owners in Monroeville that are willing, they have space for them, so we'd love to show Hobby Lobby around and help them find a home here in Monroeville, absolutely.
You don't know if they're still interested in that, though. You don't know if they're still interested.
I don't know at this time. I haven't spoken to Hobby Lobby, but the offer is definitely on the table. The DoubleTree Hotel, we're still working through that as well, but we've had investors and operators already look at the hotel last week, and just today we had 5 different investment groups, operator groups that have contacted. They want to come look at the hotel. So the fact that the convention center drives so much business to the DoubleTree Hotel. It's going to get a new operator very soon. I'm very confident about that. 6,000 hotel rooms about every year that are directly connected to the convention center to the DoubleTree. So that's a really good selling point for the DoubleTree Hotel, and we're confident that's going to be refilled.
Is the Sports and Exhibition Authority, are they part of this deal with the stakeholders because they run the convention center?
No, they're totally different entity. You know, Monroeville has this Monroeville Convention Visitors Bureau, and they run it. Oxford owns the building, and Prospera helps run it.
To prevent something like this from happening again, I realize you've been saying all along, we were blindsided.
Correct.
Oxford Development owns that property, they own the building. How can you reassure all these viewers in Monroeville and surrounding that this won't happen again?
Oh, we're very committed to trying to find a way that this makes sense for everybody and to solidify a long-term situation for the Monroeville Convention Center. Absolutely.
Are you pursuing, is Monroeville pursuing buying that building?
There's
or-
multiple, actually at this point, once again, there's multiple options on the table. We're looking through all of them. The best news about today is that Oxford is willing to work with us, and all the stakeholders are willing to work with Oxford and figure out what's the best thing to create a long-term solution for this problem, because we don't want this to happen again whatsoever. We want the convention center to be here for a long, long time, and I'm confident that's going to happen, but we don't have those details yet. Like I said before, we really wanted to get the news out that, hey, the shows are going to go on, we're open for business, but we still have a lot of work to do with all the stakeholders to come up with a long-term solution that makes sense for everybody.
Are you gonna have another meeting planned this week or next week to discuss the next steps?
Nothing is scheduled, but there's going to be multiple meetings, absolutely.
Has Oxford indicated whether they want to sell the property there?
I mean, at this point, like I said, the main thing is getting to, would they want to sell? I can't speak for them, but we're looking at every option possible. The main thing is making sure that there's a long-term solution for the convention center, absolutely.
But Oxford has agreed that they want to indeed have this to be the convention center where vendors can come?
Yes. Yes.
They promised that?
Yes, they're committed to it. They and Hobby Lobby both, they mutually broke the lease, and we've had good meetings with Oxford. It's been, we have multiple meetings with Oxford, and there's a lot of work that still needs to be put into it to come to a solution, but they are definitely committed to keeping that as a convention center. We just have to come up with the best solution where everybody's happy and we can get it done for the long term. But Oxford began here out in Monroeville in 1961, with the Monroeville Mall. Ed Lewis began out here. This is where their story began out here in Monroeville. His wife, Ann Lewis, is now the chairperson of the board, and she was instrumental in all these meetings and making sure that she's committed and Oxford's committed to the region and all the stakeholders as well. We're going to work very hard to try to make that happen and have a long-term solution here for the community.
Do you know if anyone is working on calling the people that had scheduled events there, maybe calling them back to see if they're still interested in having their?
Yeah, we've been working very hard today. We called 40 of the events today that were canceled, 38 re-signed. So we've already re-signed just today after our press announcement. 38 of the 40 shows have already re-signed to come back to the convention center.
Those are shows, like someone who, like a person who's scheduled to have like a family reunion at the venue. I mean, what about those people?
All of we are reaching out to everybody that had anything whatsoever booked at the Monroeville Convention Center. And we're going to find a space for them. We're going to get them signed back up. Obviously the dates are still there, so many will just just re-sign the agreement they already signed. They'll be in the same exact week, and we have more room and more time available throughout the year. But if anyone's interested, whether it's the end of 24 or even into 25, Monroeville Convention Center is open for business.
So when is it actually open? Starting tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah, because the thing is the shows and the dates, May 31st was going to be the last date that they were going to be open for the current schedule of shows. So June 1st is when the vendors and the shows were getting notified, like, hey, June 1st is whenever things are ending. So we're still good until May 31st. Those people will not be affected whatsoever. So we've been calling today are the people from June 1st on and getting them rebooked for that later time in the year. So we're still open. We were open this past weekend. We had a fire show that was very well attended, very busy here in Monroeville and in the region. A lot of our restaurants were filled, hotels were filled, which is great. And we have something scheduled almost every weekend right now.
That June through the end of the year, Mayor? June 1st. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, all the shows, everyone that got notified that the convention center is closing, now they've been notified to say, no, it's not closed, we're back open, we're open for business.
You mean the promoters and vendors, you call it?
Yeah, well, the way these things typically work, we would call the actual show promoters, and then they would reach out to their individual vendors.
Do you know that they've done that, or have they begun doing that, or?
I would assume that, I don't know for sure, but I would assume that they have. I mean, because a lot of these vendors, we do cater to, many shows, but smaller shows too. Even we'll call like mom and pop shows. They're smaller shows. So when we get to those smaller shows, that the vendors that run the full show, then we have the smaller vendors that are in those shows, they weren't going anywhere else. They really want, they're trying to make a small, side business, and they're trying to, they're standing around and waiting for these shows to come back. So my only assumption is that the show runners or the show promoters would reach out to their individual vendors, let them know. But that's why we really want to get the news out today, so then everyone is notified, that they know that they can breathe easier, that, hey, we're still open for business, we're still going to stay open, and we're going to work out the long-term details. Any other questions? But this is a great day for Monroeville, and we really appreciate the news media coverage of this. It made a lot of difference. We had a lot of public outcry, a lot of public support for saving the convention center, and that was very, very helpful. And there's still a lot of hard work to do, but we're going to get it done. But the good news is that the convention center is saved, still open for business, and it's going to be here for a long, long time.